Do you remember graduating from your respective academies in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, off to seek your treasure in the world, or maybe graduating college in real life, just like your avatars in Scarlet and Violet? May and June is graduation season for college students. You see, back in May, I flew out with my family to the East Coast to see my younger sister graduate. She is the youngest and the last one to graduate from college. My brother, older sister, and I were all excited to see her graduate and walk in our footsteps for this huge milestone. So you might be asking yourself, well, Yoshi, what does Pokemon have to do with graduation? During this time, I recently got a shiny Mew in the Japanese cart for Pokemon Emerald, and so I was riding off of that high. I wanted to get more shiny Pokemon. Thus, a new challenge came to mind. How many shinies can I catch before my sister graduates? Not only were we there to see her graduate, she's an athlete on her softball team for college. So we had a couple of matches to watch her play before she graduates, thus some extra days. We flew in on a Thursday and her graduation was on a Saturday. That leaves us a couple of days to shiny hunt. Obviously, with a lot going on, there isn't a lot of time, but I figure I'd try and squeeze in some time to shiny hunt some Pokemon. The games I'll be shiny hunting in are Pokemon Scarlet on my Switch and a Japanese copy of Pokemon Emerald on my SP. The first day was mostly filled with travel. After a 7+ hour flight, we were all hungry, so we hit up Bojangles for a quick lunch. Can I just say how amazing Bojangles is, and I wish we had them in the Pacific Northwest. Afterwards, we were making ourselves home at the Airbnb. My siblings and I all played sports growing up, though my younger sister was the only one who took it all the way to college. After a couple of great games and my sister kicking some butt, it was time to get some dinner and rest up for the night. No shiny hunting on that day. Day 2, we had some reprieve due to some inclement weather, so there was no softball that day. While my parents were doing some errands, I was at the Airbnb watching my grandma and started doing some shiny hunts. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we get these mass outbreak events that gives us boosted odds for shinies in mass outbreaks. That week's mass outbreak had a focus on Pokemon with gold shinies. Our targets were the Riolu and Varoom lines, mostly because we don't have them yet as shinies, so those are our targets. I took my Switch outside to enjoy the weather with my grandma and shiny hunt. Because of how easy it is to shiny hunt in Scarlet and Violet, plus the boosted shiny odds from the event, I didn't use any sandwiches. Heading over to Paldea's East Province Area 3, we began our hunt for the Varoom line, and heck, you know, only after 3 eliminations, our first golden engine boy was found. Talk about luck. After we got that first engine, we began hunting for the next one, and oh well, you know, it really didn't take too much time to find the second engine. It was only after 10 eliminations that we found the second golden engine for the evolution line. With 2 of those Varooms out of the way, it was time to fly over to the Terrarium's coastal biome for the golden dung beetle. I mean the Riolu evolution line. I decided to use the synchro gimmick to hunt down these golden turds. After 41 eliminations, we found our first golden dung roller, and you know, I kid you not, after eliminating 2 more of their brethren, we found the last Riolu for the line. After a quick leveling up sesh for our golden engine to evolve into a Rivaroom and walking our little round doo-doo boy till he himself evolved into a gold shiny, we were all done for the Pokemon that we had targeted in Pokemon Scarlet. After dinner, I hung out with my siblings and watched them play games on my Steam Deck. We chatted about the softball matches till it was bedtime. Day 3 started early for me. I needed to finish up some origami cranes for my little sister's lei. Because my family is from Hawaii, we follow an age-old tradition of giving leis out to the siblings graduating. I wanted to help contribute to her leis. I figured I asked my mom if I can make a lei with origami. See, our late grandma on my dad's side of the family taught us how to make cranes. After all this time and work that she's done for her schooling, I wanted to make something sentimental for her graduation. So I spent the morning working on those origami leis for her. After another lunch at Bojangles, we headed to the softball field to watch a doubleheader match. Little sister and her team were playing their hearts out, especially since this was senior day for those on the team that were graduating like herself. They won their first match, only for it to get rained out for the second match. Didn't think we'd bring the rain from the Pacific Northwest to the East Coast, but you know, oh well. It was getting late and we were retiring for the evening for dinner. Knowing grad day will be hectic on Saturday, I knew I had to get my last shinies in today. After stuffing myself with some southern food, it was time for the real brain-scratching shiny hunt. Pokemon Emerald is a pretty buggy game. I mentioned this in my last video, but for the uninitiated, here's a little short explanation from Amablissy.
In Emerald, the initial seed is actually always the same, 0. This is because of a programming error. Many people think it has to do with a dead internal battery, but Emerald is the only game where that's not the case.
Around this time, I was addicted to learning RNG manipulation and to use it for shiny Pokemon. There are plenty of ways to exploit the RNG manipulation in that game to get some really awesome shinies. So on this trip, I was pretty determined to use one method in particular, Sweet Scent RNG manipulation. I want to preface this and say again, I'm no expert in RNG manipulation. I'm learning it as I go. So if you're looking for a guide, please check out Hefe or Amablissey's guides, as they have a better understanding and years of experience. I'll leave their guides in the description below. Our targets for Pokemon Emerald were the Varoom Evolution Line. Again, I was learning how to use RNG manipulation, so in the next bit here, I was making a lot of errors. We're learning as we go. While going for our first target, Poochyena, I ended up catching a shiny Pokemon that wasn't our target twice. Let me explain. The first attempt, we got a Zigzagoon. I'll try my best to think of an explanation here, but I was in the tall grass in Route 120 versus regular grass when using this Sweet Scent. So I'd imagine that the pool of Pokemon for the frame advancements were different than the ones that you would get in regular grass. If there's any RNG manip experts, can you please let me know in the comment section below if that's accurate or not? That's just my hunch. After realizing the quirky shiny I got, I went to Route 121 with a regular grass and began our attempts. After 4 RNG manip encounters, I found our golden dog, but it was a Mightyena? I shouldn't be complaining, but a shiny is a shiny. But doing the calculations and stuff, I was pretty confused. Target was a Poochyena. Again, my takeaway from it was that we had that NPC there, moving around and advancing frames randomly. Thus, we did hit a shiny frame, it was just not our target, and we got that Mightyena. After shrugging off those 2 quirky shinies, we were on our final target. For those of you who don't know, Mightyena and Poochyena have Roar, so you're playing with fire if you don't have the right setup. Of course, I found out that the hard way. I didn't let that failed Poochyena deter me from trying to get this shiny Pokemon. So after readjusting and moving myself around in Route 121, we were able to get our shiny Poochyena.
Very quiet.
There we go. There's the Mightyena. In the end, we got 7 shiny Pokemon. While making all those mistakes and learning that new process, I was glad to wrap up that hunt before my sister graduated. Looking back, it was a memorable time for my younger sister to wrap up her final collegiate season playing softball and to graduate. This meant way more to my sister and her cohort. After all, this was a cohort of graduates who didn't have a traditional graduation. See, my younger sister graduated high school during the pandemic. So to go through a pandemic on her final year of high school, only to graduate and walk quote-unquote virtually, it was underwhelming for her. She never got that bombastic graduation like myself, my brother, our older sister had growing up. And so that's why I wanted to help contribute to her celebration. I wanted to make it a little more sentimental for her, and that's why I created that Origami Crane lei. Of course, through all of these graduations in the family, the last surviving grandparent on my mom's side of the family got to see her youngest granddaughter graduate. She never had those opportunities growing up like we did. So, doing what we can to celebrate our accomplishments, this was our way to honor her. Thank you all for coming along on this cute little journey. And that's the end of the video. If you lasted this far, please leave a like, comment on the video, and subscribe. And I'll see you all when I see you.